Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into Channel 2 News, or what we like to call Channel Cool News. Unless you've been living under a rock, then we would all know that coronavirus is taking over the world and having devastating effects on the economy. Many even fear we will enter into a depression. But hopefully, everyone is safe at home and ready to watch our new exclusive series. That's right, we have a new mini-series where we report on government responses to the virus. Sebastian, take it away. Thank you, David. For the first episode in this mini-series, we're going to be taking a closer look at Switzerland. All right, let's take a look at some of the numbers of the current cases of Switzerland with the coronavirus. Wow, that is a big number. Well, surely this must be taking a large toll on the economy. Now let's look at the facts about the collapse. It's safe to say that Switzerland, like almost every other country in the world, is entering into a recession. Unemployment in Switzerland has increased due to the coronavirus. In February, unemployment rate was about 2.5%, but now this has increased to 2.9%. And adjusted for seasonal factors, we get a final unemployment rate of 2.8%. Taking a look at short-time employment, on April 5th, more than 1.3 million workers, a quarter of Switzerland's workforce, applied for short-time work compensation. It only reached 90,000 during the 2008 financial crisis. This is huge. So, what is short-time work, you might ask? Well, short-time work is when instead of laying off your workers, companies can instead pay workers a lower salary for working less hours, and 80% of the lost income will be compensated by the government. But ultimately, there is less hours worked, and the country is not producing at its full employment. This will lead to a decrease in GDP and cause a recession. In regards to price index, the consumer price index decreased by 0.5% in March. This clearly points towards a deflationary gap and a recession. Now, for the fourth indicator, we can look at consumer sentiment, which is basically consumer confidence. A survey performed by the Swiss government published on April 15th found that the consumer sentiment is at an all-time low. It hasn't been this low since the early 1990s. So here we see that the coronavirus is not only shifting the short-run aggregate supply to the left, but it's also shifting the aggregate demand to the left since there's less consumerism. For the last indicator, we can look at GDP. According to Switzerland's federal government expert group, they expect GDP to fall by 1.3% in 2020. As we can clearly see by these 5 indicators, Switzerland is undoubtedly entering into a recession. All indicators point towards this event. So what has Switzerland done to reduce this? Well, it has performed monetary policy and fiscal policy. So all in all, the Switzerland government has set aside 62 billion Swiss francs in order to minimize the effects on the economy. This budget, 62 billion, is what they spend each year. So that's a huge amount of money for the Swiss government. Looking at some actual fiscal policies, there has been a massive increase of transfer payments in Switzerland. As I said before, about a quarter of Switzerland's workforce is under short-time work compensation by the government. This equates to $11 billion been granted for these compensations. That is huge, and that is huge transfer payments. Fiscal policy, yeah. So what's very interesting to note is that Switzerland is choosing to increase short-time work rather than let their workers be laid off. Switzerland uses this policy because research showed that it had many positive effects during the 2008-2009 financial crisis. As well, Switzerland is not the only country to do this. Other countries in Europe has also been employing this policy since the outbreak. And since the start of the outbreak, Switzerland has in fact made it a lot easier to apply for short-time work. Before, after you applied for short-time work, it would take 10 days for it to be granted. But now, it's immediate. And also, instead, it would only last for about 3 months. But now, it has been extended to 6 months. And employees on a fixed contract can also receive this compensation. This is a clear example that Switzerland has decided to use fiscal policy by increasing transfer payments through short-time work. They've made it easier to apply for, and more people are using it. This would cause the aggregate demand curve to shift right in order to increase output. Looking at monetary policy, we see that Switzerland has made huge changes. Switzerland is famous for their impeccable Swiss banks. So let's see what they are doing. Specific towards emergency loans, the Swiss National Bank is prepared to loan out 40 billion Swiss francs. That's a lot of money. So first, the Swiss National Bank is providing loans up to 500,000 Swiss francs, interest-free. And if you want to and they're also covering 100% of the risk. And if you want to take out a bigger loan, you can apply for a loan as big as 10% of your company's yearly revenue, and then that could go up to 20 million Swiss francs. And also the government would take 85% of the risk and leave the other 15% for the banks. And just another side note. These loans, they have to be paid back within 5 years. So that gives all these companies a reasonable amount of time to pay it back. As we can see, the Swiss government is really trying to increase government spending and investment spending in a hope to stimulate the economy. The act of increasing short-time work compensation is an expansionary fiscal policy, while reducing interest rates is expansionary monetary policy. These policies have all been implemented in order to minimize the damage of the coronavirus on the economy. Every week, it's estimated that the economy loses 4 to 5 billion Swiss francs. So what has been the response to all these policies? Well, regarding trying to increase investment spending, it's been pretty darn successful. In just 4 days of implementing the monetary policy of the new loans and everything, 6 billion francs had been borrowed. As of April 2nd, there was 14.3 billion Swiss francs worth of loans made. While we cannot for surely say what will happen in the future, the injection of money into the money supply will most likely increase GDP, and we really hope it does. With regards to short-time work, we have seen that it's pretty successful because the unemployment rate has not increased very dramatically compared to other countries, and a lot of people are using it, so that's a good thing. Looking at feedback from different analysts, it's been all very positive. In fact, Switzerland has become almost a role model for all European countries. So what economists agree is that the backbone of an economy relies on SMEs, which are small and medium-sized enterprises. These companies generally don't have a lot of cash on hand. So when the economy worsens, they are the first to suffer. And when they go out of business, whoop, a huge chain reaction will occur. And as we can see, both fiscal and monetary policies that Switzerland made has actually all been aimed towards SMEs, with short-time work and small zero interest loans made available. Switzerland has also made the money readily available so that these SMEs are not suffering too much, because if they go on for too long without getting money, they're really going to suffer. And bigger corporations aren't actually getting much help from the government, which is quite opposite to other countries like the US, which are bailing out big corporations left and right. Alright, that is all from me. Next, we will have our economist analysis to actually give their own opinion. Yes, thank you, Sebastian. Me, being the most renowned economist in the world, Here's what I think. I think, overall, Switzerland has been doing very well with their actions. However, one possible consequence is that if people default on their loans, it will cause catastrophic damage on the government. If just 10% of people default on their loans, it is estimated that would cause the government 800 million Swiss francs a year, and that's for 5 years. That's a lot of money. Luckily, Switzerland has been in a budget surplus in the recent years, so hopefully their reserves will get them through this storm.